don't create a solution that there's no problem for. Only 47% of women have formal accounts. And most organizations will just say, oh, okay, it's a women product, you just change it to pink. People's skills, interpersonal skills should never be underrated. It takes you a long way.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Podcast. This podcast is for curious minds and aspiring innovators. We dive deep to discuss inspiring, informative, and offbeat conversations on technology and business. I'm your host, Iwalola Shoboale. I'm a passionate advocate for insightful discussions that inspire change and growth. We have Olajumoke Daramola here with us today on the show. She renders advisory services to Women's World Banking, or with Women's World Banking, an organization that aims to empower low-income women around the world through financial inclusion. Olajumoke has over a decade of experience in various capacities, including business analysis, relationship management, and product development, before moving on to Women's World Banking. She'll be sharing with us today how Women's World Banking is empowering women through financial inclusion. Welcome on the show, Olajumoke. I'm really excited to have you on the show. Finally, it's been months of planning to get you here.
Yes. Thank you very much, Iwala, and thank you for having me. And I would say thank you for your patience. You were very tenacious on getting me on this program. And I would say thank you very much. I'm really, really happy to be here, happy to be doing this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And honestly, I can't wait for our listeners to hear about the amazing work you're doing. So before we get into the main conversation, we like to do a little icebreaker. It's a virtual game where I'll share my screen now, and you basically pick a card, and you tell me a number between. Let me just share my screen first. Where is it? Okay. So you select a number between 2 and 52, and then you read the card, the scenario that the card states, and then you basically build on that scenario. Tell us how you would approach it. So please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what number do you want to go for?
Let's see.
What's your lucky number?
7.
7. Why? A lot of people keep picking 7.
Okay. I have a reason for choosing 7. I was born in July, so.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So please read the scenario on the card.
You're invited to speak at a TEDx event. What groundbreaking tech topic do you present to inspire the audience?
So what do you think?
I'll say transition to tech from a non-tech background.
Okay, interesting. And I guess that's because of your own story, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll learn more about that as we go along in the conversation. But I'll ask again for you to pick another card. Maybe just tell me another number.
14.
14, okay. So doubling your lucky number.
Yes.
So you can go ahead and read the question. This is 14.
Okay. What resources and mentorship opportunities do you provide to entrepreneurs? Okay.
That's you're creating a tech startup incubator program. What resources and mentorship?
Sorry. I wanted the first part. So you're creating a tech startup incubator program. What resources and mentorship opportunities do you provide to entrepreneurs? Let's see.
So you could approach this based on what needs you've seen that entrepreneurs have maybe in the ecosystem.
So I would say that resources around business development, business management, and also DFC, digital financial capability.
Okay.
Because one thing I've seen in line of my work is many entrepreneurs do not actually know how to run a business.
Okay.
So some of them have it as it's their passion, but separating the business from the individual is quite hard. And if they are going to scale the business, there are certain skills that they need to have and things they need to know to help them scale little by little. And access to markets, access to credit, things along that line. So I think these are the resources that I'll be providing to entrepreneurs to help them grow.
Interesting. Interesting. Your perspective on business entrepreneurs not actually knowing how to run a business. I think a lot of us or a lot of entrepreneurs probably start as a side hustle, especially in this economy. It's like
Yeah,
we need to make extra money on the side. So we're probably just looking at it from a profit and loss perspective. And we're
no,
not
most
really
of them are even, yes, they are winging it. So
okay.
as it goes, and maybe because I've had to work in a formal organization
Okay.
before, so I know how, or we have an idea of how the business works. But for most people, they say that entrepreneurs, so they don't know how to separate the business and the person. So
Okay.
sometimes it's difficult for the business to scale.
Yeah. Interesting. So now we can get into the conversation. Olajumoke, please tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get from point A to point B? Here being point B.
Okay, so I've always knew I was going to work in finance. From the first time I did my internship, I had a summer internship with Sterling Bank when I was in 200 level. And being in that space, my first job was in strategy. I interned in the strategy department. So it gave me like a bird's eye view of what's going on in the bank. So I just knew I was going to be in finance. And the fact that before the advent of COVID, bankers used to dress sharp. You understand? The
As
suits,
in
the
sharp dressing, heels,
yeah,
everything.
yes. I said, this is where I'm going to be. And my first job was with a bank, Sterling Bank, and I was with them for 10 years. Let's if you discount the time I did internship, because I interned with them twice. But it was a very, very beautiful experience. And I think those lessons learned, that background, all coupled together made me who I am today, and even being able to thrive in my current role with Women's World Banking. So it has always been from the beginning. Finance has always been my first love.
Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome. So Sterling Bank, 10 years. That's something you don't see. Like you hardly see anybody doing 10 years anyway. Right?
Yeah.
But I guess
Yes.
I've heard Sterling Bank has a reputation, of being a great place to work. I mean, was that your experience?
Yes, it was. It was, and I say anywhere. Sterling Bank gave me the wings to fly, and they created an enabling environment. I Even when I was a young mom, there was a crèche. It just created abilities for me to, or facility and an enabling environment that I don't need to give up motherhood for my career. I don't need to give up my career for motherhood, things along that line. So that made me grow. And in between all this period, I told you I was switching roles. I switched roles in Sterling 4 times. And I was still able to do this because it's unheard of. Not many organizations will allow you to more or less dip your feet into new areas. So it was a good experience and a really good place to work. I would always say this.
Amazing stuff. I'm all about all for organizations that actually enable women, especially because motherhood alone, it can derail
It's a
someone's
lot.
career if you're not enabled, right? I mean,
Yes. Thank you.
amazing. So, you told us, how you got here today. Are there any other things that influenced you? Maybe things you read, books you read, or people you met, mentors or mentees?
Yes. So another person I would say attributed to this move. So at some point I knew I wanted to do something else. I was more or less done with banking. I was looking for a way out. I didn't know what it was going to be yet. And this is where the role of mentors come to bear. So I joined Sterling actually for their Sterling Women Development Program, enrolled us to Whisker. So I joined Whisker. It's Women in Successful Careers, and I was matched with a mentor, Professor Olayinka David West, a very wonderful woman. She was my rock, so to say, giving guidance. Okay, Jumoke, what is it you want to do? So I'm one of all those people that think and overthink and think myself out of the situation. So just do it. Oh, I'm taking this. So I'm about to take this course. And she says, okay, even if you are not, you want to transition out of your role, you understand? You don't need to transition out of your organization. You can transition to another area in your organization. So I'm saying that I've been in relationship management for a while now. How do I break it? Because it's very hard to break out of relationship management, especially relationship management in corporate banking, oil and gas. Do you understand? So I was going off tangent and I said, ouch. I said, your skill set is the same. So over a year, we went back and forth. What do I know? What don't I know? What courses do I need to take? And I transitioned from relationship management to product development and product management. I became a product manager for microfinance banks and other financial institutions, working on banking as a service. But someone took a chance on me and said, "Oh, okay." Even though I had textbook knowledge, the other skill set I had of being a relationship manager will come to bear, and the courses I've taken. So that was more like a defining moment for me. Two people that took a chance on me. I said, okay, let's do it. They took a chance with me. They said, okay, Jumoke, you can do it. And the person that gave me a job, and that was David Adebayo. So when I mention all these names, it's because they were very impactful in my journey. Like, you can't do it alone. You just need someone that would say, okay, let me take a chance with you. Yeah.
That is like a really great, I guess, experience that you had. And I don't think not everybody can say, that they were able to like take a leap and it made, like in hindsight, it came out good, right? But can I
Yeah.
ask, what was that? Was there a specific thing that led you to product management? Like, why product management from, experience as a relationship manager?
Okay, so to be fair, initially I was just bored. I
Yeah,
was
I mean,
bored.
follow your curiosity is where a
Yeah.
lot of things starts. Yeah.
Yes. So I was bored. And I'm like, what can I do differently? I definitely can't code. I don't even like, what can I do? So I remember having this conversation with my husband. He is also in tech. And he says,
Okay.
okay, what are the roles that you can transition easily into based on the skill sets we had? So we had product management, we had project management, we
Okay.
had this, and data analyst, business analyst. So there were like four different positions I had to try. So I
Okay.
said, okay, let me do project and product first.
Okay.
When I get through that, then I go to the next one. So it wasn't like I wanted to do product management. I just wanted what where it would be easier for me to transition into based on the skill set I had. And those were the closest, and those who I started with. And here we are. So I
Yes.
think
Paid off.
yes, it did pay off.
I like that mindset. So, like I was saying, boredom is usually the greatest place for like imagination, for experimentation. Like you sometimes have to get bored to realize that, oh yeah, there's more beyond where I am presently, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
so what would you say are some of your career highlights? Just looking back, what would you say are like these were the high points?
So I've had in for every role I've undertaken, there's been so many highlights for me and learning curve. When I started banking, my first role was in product development, funny enough, for payday cards, salary cards. and that
Okay.
card gave you an opportunity to take up to 50% of your salary before payday. And this point in time, it hasn't gotten payday loans haven't grown and this was like
Yeah, it
2013.
wasn't that popular.
It wasn't that popular. So looking back, yeah, I would say that that's one of my highlights in my career because it was all like we broke the dam for the influx of payday loans and all those things. Initially started with the cards for accounts that we had. Then when I moved to corporate banking, it was corporate banking is not for the faint-hearted, and it was the ability for me to adapt. This is someone coming from, so I was in the back office. I was the EA to the MD before I went to corporate banking. So coming from back office, when I say back office, writing proposals, reviewing proposals, to actually doing the work, it was a lot. And at this point, I just had the child, you understand, and I had to take on these additional responsibilities. The
That's
fact
a
that
lot.
I was able, yes, it was a lot. In hindsight, the fact that I was able to do it, the fact that I not only do it, but do it well, because I remember getting promoted during that year too. So I must have been doing something right. And it was a lot, but hard work, smart work pays. You understand? And being able to thrive and ask people to say, oh, okay, you're unable to do this, go and meet Jumoke, she'll sort you out. I was like the go-to person for almost everything in my
Wow.
yeah. So everybody would say, oh, okay. So when it comes to onboarding, Jumoke is your person. Like she's going to put you through. And these things don't come by chance. It comes with great interpersonal skills, great people skills. I tell people that people skills, interpersonal skills should never be underrated. It takes you a long way, especially if you are going to work in an organization that is based on team effort. It's not like a multinational organization where you have individual contribution. Most times in the bank is team, then individual, but team first, then individual. Things like that. Interpersonal skills goes a long way. So when I think about my achievements, I pin that down. Then I also think that the ability for me to transition from being a banker to in a Nigerian company to a multinational, doing something totally different. I do financial inclusion. I haven't done financial inclusion before, but finance is finance basically, but on a lower level. So I just say, oh, okay, that's well done, Jumoke. It's not easy, and said that you have to blow your trumpet. So this is me blowing my trumpet and saying, okay, well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes you have to give yourself your flowers, right? Give yourself your flowers. Other people will then recognize you.
Yes.
Um, Speaking of financial inclusion, I guess this would be a great segue to get into that conversation. What exactly is financial inclusion for people who are listening and probably maybe they've come across the term and don't really understand what it means? And what's Women's World Banking doing about financial inclusion?
Okay. In layman terms, financial inclusion is bringing financial services to those that are underserved or unbanked. So basically, there are certain people that do not have access to financial services, either formal or informal. You understand? So we're trying to ensure that those that are in the informal service are able to move to the formal service. So the woman that is collecting money and putting it in her waist bead or in her bra, keeping it, she can keep it in the bank. She can put it in a microfinance bank. She can put it with an agent. Do you understand? There are other services that will make these people feel included. And one thing financial inclusion does is that it also leads to economic empowerment. You understand? And that is what we do at Women's World Banking, is to create opportunities for more women to be financially included and more or less overall and above all improve their economic well-being because Financial inclusion leads to financial independence. They are more aware. They are it leads to self-awareness. They are able to make decisions on them by themselves. Leads to independence. Their financial health more or less is improved. So you might think it's very small to certain people, but to other people is a lot. You understand? And that is what we try to do at Women's World Banking. These are the things that keeps us going at Women's World Banking, providing advisory services, policies, helping with regulators in a way to ensure that financial inclusion is achieved across board. Thank you.
Amazing. So what countries or continents or regions does Women's World Banking cover? Is it like all around the world?
Yes, we are in I think over 40 countries. I think we're in over 40 countries. You will find us in India, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa. And we have priority countries. One of our priority countries in Africa is Nigeria. And I cover financial inclusion. I'll provide advisory services for the Africa region.
Interesting. So are there any facts or data points that we should know at this point or that would be interesting to share?
Okay, so I'm going to reference the last EFINA report. EFINA report is they have a report called A2F, Access to Finance. They just released it in 2023, and I'm going to be calling some staggering numbers for you. So, in terms of access to finance, only 47% of women, and when I say 47% is women that are 18 plus, have formal accounts. Do you understand? That is like, and it can even be less. So when you look at these numbers, when this is another report from Findex, this is World Bank report as of 2021. It says that number I gave was at 2023. It says that only 35% of women, and this is all over the world. The one for EFINA is for Nigeria.
Okay.
All over the world, only 35% of women have access to accounts. And there are two different things. There is access, then there is usage.
Okay.
The usage is even less.
Interesting.
Yes. And apart from what's it called? Access to access to accounts, there is also access to internet, because we're in a digital world now. Globally, it says that over 450 million women still don't have a mobile phone. So when you hear these numbers, they are staggering, and you say, oh, okay.
Where do you even start from?
Where do you even start from? Like, are we even making a dent? Are we even making a dent? I was on the field last week. I was talking to some women. I spoke to about 20 women. Only 2 had Android phones.
Where in Nigeria?
Yes. Only 2.
Okay.
And so what we say, and okay, my focus is on low income women. Only 2 had Android phones. The rest, they had feature phones. What do they even call it for me? Palafa. Something. Okay. No, it's not Palafa. They called one Yoruba word like this. I can't remember.
Is it Pano or something like
that? I
that?
don't even know. Something along the line. So, and this is in Egbe. Only 2.
Wow.
And we are pushing for digital financial capabilities, digital financial capacity. So if they don't even have the tools, I'm not even saying the iPhones of this world. I'm talking of the Androids, the easy ones. So when you hear numbers like that, it might look far, but you can just take a survey. Maybe when you go to, I'm not talking about the urban areas now,
Mm.
semi-urban, because I said that people that live in Lagos sometimes they live in a bubble. Like
A
the
big,
react,
a serious bubble. We think the whole
yes,
of
especially
Nigeria
yeah,
is just like Lagos.
yes, especially when it comes to financial inclusion.
Mm.
Like there are so many things that you think is normal, but no, it's not. So these are the numbers that we work with. These are the things that drive us, and that we try to reduce the number, reduce the gap by providing different solutions, helping with policies to more or less bridge the gap and ensure that less women are excluded from financial services.
Very interesting. To be honest, I'm still reflecting on those numbers. I honestly didn't think it was that bad, right? But I mean, data is the beginning of decision making, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that Women's World Banking deals with a lot of that data, right? So, what are some of the ways that Women's World Banking is doing this? So you've hinted at, providing policies. Could you give us maybe specific examples of how, the impact that Women's World Banking has made?
Yes. So, like I said, that we create, we we help provide advisory support, technical advisory. So we work with financial service providers. When I say financial service providers, banks, fintechs, in ensuring or working with them on their products, on their solutions to ensure that it is actually meeting the needs of the women. You'd see when we say that are your products gender neutral, or are your products gender aware? So most people will claim that their products are gender neutral, but at the end of the day, what you see is that they are creating solutions that exclude women, not intentionally, but that is where we come in for you to see those gaps. So we work with financial service providers to identify these gaps, and this is across all our priority markets. We have a lot of projects in India. We have a lot of projects in Southeast Asia. We have projects here in Nigeria too with different partners. I think we've worked with over 14 financial service providers on here, and we're moving the needle little by little.
Yeah, so I want to even backtrack because I know this is probably the question in a lot of people's minds right now. Why women? Okay, why not men? Because there's the notion that especially in Africa and maybe in Nigeria specifically, the men are the breadwinners, right? But why the focus on women? Like what in terms of the big picture, why not maybe men and women? Why just women?
Yes, when I say women, one thing in design is that when we design for women, we include the men. Do you understand? So because when you're designing for a woman, you're not removing the men. You understand? The men can benefit from the products. But when you design with the woman in mind, the man is able to benefit. But when you design for a man in mind, they are going to exclude the women. That's why we usually say women, women, women. But our product is or our solution is not solely for men can also benefit from it. That's what I'm trying to say. So, for instance, we are doing a credit products now. You say for them to access loan, maybe they should bring landed properties. But what you don't know is that how many women have landed properties. Do you understand?
Hmm.
It's the men, especially in low amongst the rural and semi-rural or semi-urban areas, and many of them are able to own properties. There are some areas that women cannot own properties. So if you put a solution like that there, by all means, you've taken out the woman.
That is very interesting. I haven't thought of that from that perspective because you're right. Even there are people who would bequeath properties to only their male child, for instance, and this
Exactly.
is Nigeria wide and probably even Africa wide. So, what other
Worldwide.
gaps? Yeah, what other gaps exist in the financial solutions that currently exist in the market? So, in terms of women, what other gaps exist?
So then when it comes to awareness, you understand, you see that most organizations will just say, oh, okay, it's a women product, you just change it to pink and paste it.
Ah, that pink.
You
That
understand?
pink. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
They just change it, they change the flyer to pink and just
Mm,
paste it, or they just pick one woman and put it on it. They say, actually, we've made it a woman's product. But are you speaking to the woman that you want to speak to? It's like you want to sell a product to the woman in the market. You now put a woman wearing skirt and blouse with suit holding a file. Please, if the woman in the market will see that picture, are you talking to her?
honestly. So
So
interesting.
so when it comes to awareness, then even how we even pitch, you understand? Most women they make decisions from a trust point of view. You understand? They want to know you. They want to be able to relate with you before they are able to make a decision. So that is why you see sometimes that decision making process takes longer. You understand?
Very
So
true.
how do you sell your products to a woman? What are the things that you need to know? Like if you think they are just rolling out numbers and the woman is going to hear you, make it make sense to her. What are use cases? What are things that she knows? What are trusted sources? So please tell me why a woman would the bank is beside her store, should not put her money there. But the babalajo that is riding bicycle that comes to her every day and seeks and collects from her, should rather give him her money than put it in the bank. Can she get bonds from that? Yes, it's possible. But you should also think about it from her point of view. She knows this person. She, she knows him. He has been a constant feature in her life, maybe for the past 10 years. You understand? She'll probably be having a family function and invite him and he will come. So if we lean on the channels that they are familiar with to bring these solutions to them, there's more possibility or there's an higher chance that they'll take up these solutions instead of staying or standing far off.
Very interesting. The more you talk, the more I'm thinking that this problem is actually deep. Oh. It's not just like you said, it's not
No,
just by using pink color and
no, no,
making
no, it's
your
not.
app logo pink or that kind of thing.
Yes.
Oh my days. So can you tell us a bit about maybe the strategies that work then for women? So you've told us that women make decisions based on trust. They you have to approach them through the channels that they already trust, right? So what are maybe some case studies or strategies that women's world banking has applied in the past that have worked?
So there is something we usually say you need to know the person you are designing for. You understand? And let me say it's not one woman is the same. You understand? Like there are different facets. So there's the working mom, there's the housewife, there's the housewife that has a side business, there's the housewife that relies on funds from her husband. So when you are creating products, you need to be able to define your target segment. Who are you creating a product for? Who who is the woman? Not just the woman. What's her age bracket? What's her educational status? What does she like? What are her likes? What are her dislikes? When you are able to build this persona, then you are now able to create a product. And we usually say this: don't create a solution that there's no problem for. So some people create a solution, they now going to start looking for the problem. So the
Very
problem,
backwards,
yes,
very
but it
backwards way.
happens even to the best of us. We
Okay.
think that there's a problem,
Okay.
but it may not be a problem,
Hmm.
which is why we always say that you ask. There's nothing like asking too many questions.
Hmm.
What do they like? Would they like this? When your prototype is ready, take it again to the market and ask more questions before you finalize the solution. That way, you're sure that you're solving a problem, you're meeting a need.
Hmm.
You're meeting a need. So things along that line, like who I tell people that the first question you ask yourself when you're creating a product or when you're developing a product is who are you developing it for? And even in the mention of product development, They'll ask you to do user testing. Things like that they're not just writing it because it's textbook. You have to test it. You have to know that, oh, okay, when I do after all this, will there be uptake? Am I fulfilling a need? What are their use cases? Do we build the solution around their use cases? You know that by this time of the month or by this time of the year, they will probably want to stock up their store. Maybe there's not enough money. Okay, do you want to create a program that will do target savings towards a rainy day? Or we say, so things along the line based on their daily life, based on what they do, based on what they already know. So that's what we preach at Women's World Banking most, that you should always know who you are designing for. When you know that, then the rest is okay, or the rest is small.
Right. I like the fact that you talked about how it's not just meant to be, it's not just textbook stuff. The reason why it's in all those textbooks and books that we read is because it actually works. So, of course, the application might be where there might be issues, especially if we're reading books about how things are done in a region or a country or with people that are very different from the way we
Yeah.
look, right? So my question is, how does Women's World Banking decide who to invest in? So I imagine there are a lot of people who approach Women's World Banking for services or I guess in advice, right? How do you decide who to go with?
So we we typically don't invest. There's another arm of the business that handles investments, and it's not an area that I work in.
Okay.
So we do more of technical advisory, and that part of the business is called I think WAM.
Okay.
So it's a different ball game entirely, but
Okay.
we provide technical advisory services on our end, and that's what we do on our side, technical advisory.
Okay. So say I don't know, I'm building a financial solution in Nigeria right now, and my
Mm,
target is women. How
mm.
do I get advisory services from Women's World Banking? Are there like some strict criteria I have to meet?
Okay, so for us, we have materials on our, so we have like a retinue, the library of resources that people can go. In the span of 2 years, we've launched two different toolkits, one on savings and no, three actually, one on savings, one on digital account activation, and one on digital credit. So for people that want to see what we've done along this line, they can go to the website to download. But for us, when we're choosing partners, it's dependent on the problem we're trying to solve at that point in time. Then we can then recruit partners that will go through different level of due diligence to say, okay, we have um, we have a funder that would like to achieve this, and we think you might be a good partner to work with us in achieving this based on maybe your company size, based on the products you have, or based on your you call it your impact or interest in furthering financial inclusion for women. Financial inclusion, especially for low-income women, is a niche space. So not so many people are into it as such. Most businesses are commercialized. So and so we need to get them to see that there's also profits in doing business with women, especially low-income women. So we select our partners based on different criteria, but they must fit the objective that we're trying to achieve at that point in time.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, like, think like you rightly said, there are probably a lot of people who think that creating solutions or getting into this market might not be profitable. They probably look at it as like CSR or something.
Yes.
Yeah, but can you tell us about the success stories that you've seen instead for these businesses that focus on these areas, based on the advisory services that you render Women's World Banking? Like, what impact has that had for those businesses?
Yeah, so for most business, especially for commercial organization, the impact is usually on the bottom line. So when we are saying that we are going to help you in your business, we're saying that the cost of acquisition for these people is going to be relatively lower. That means you are going to be getting more customers at um, maybe less than the price you initially got them. Then you're also going to be keeping customers retention. So if the product is right, so we have partners that come on board and okay, they're able to see retention in the number of women that have started opening accounts with them and continue to do business with them because they're able to speak to the need. So and if you're able to retain your customers, then your cost of funds, that means the cost of doing business might be lower because you're having cheap funds, they're keeping their savings with you. So things along that line, it's for every partner is different. There's usually not a straight line. But one thing is sure is that at the end of the day, it will be very beneficial to the organization across different levels. Be it the return on investment is always possible. It might not be from day one, you understand? But like every other business that is out there, there's a gestation period. And when the gestation period passes, we're able to reap the benefits.
Okay, so say I'm a corporate executive listening to this right now, and I've had it on my mind to do more for women, but I don't know where to start, right? And like we just spoke, it's not about building the solution and then backtracking to the problem, right? It's about figuring out what the problem is. Are you able to tell us what are some of like maybe the top three problems that women face in terms of financial inclusion or access to financial services?
Okay, so one of the major problems we've seen is so I would have said access to credit, but now I would say given the economic conditions, access to credit is tough everywhere, and interest rates are hiking up due to inflation and government trying to um, combat inflation. Another thing that I would then say is access to markets. You understand? There are different digital platforms out there. There are so many businesses out there that they need the right exposure. That if they're able to create access to markets, they can serve more than the people that they currently provide services to at the moment. So we see that there are data marketplaces that they can also list their goods. That will also help them increase revenue. Then another thing is everybody's looking for a side business, so to say. So helping these women think outside the curve of what they can do. So if you have a product that can be supplementary to what they're doing or a service that they can offer. So we'll say that why is agency banking on the rise? Because it's a good supplementary business rather, especially for people that have a shop, you have like steady flow of income. So looking at what do they actually need. So if you go on and on and on, then what service do you offer? So it just takes like a short interview, like a short survey, and see, okay, this is the service offerings I have. How can I integrate it into their business? So I tell people that it's not CSR, it's going to be a mutually beneficial relationship, and they do not change. Women do not change as they don't change. Like I'll use my both of us as an example. How often do you change your tailor? No matter how terrible the tailor is, just like, oh, the devil I know is better than, you understand? So the moment we're able to speak to what they need based on what the organization has, you understand, then it keeps getting better and better. So, like a software company or that has a website, that you might never have enough products to sell on your own. If you're able to create a marketplace for these women, they are not even as digitally savvy, but they do have good products. When you create access to market for them, so it's a win-win relationship. You are driving traffic to your website. People are being able to see more goods, and the woman on the other end is also able to increase sales, which will lead to increased revenue on that end. So it will be a mutually beneficial relationship.
Thank you. So what would you say the most difficult part of your job is? You've highlighted or you've identified those challenges, right, that women face in getting access to finance or access to credit and access to market, like you just mentioned. What would you say the most difficult part of your job is based on that?
I think um, most difficult part of my job, one, getting the women to maybe trust. We leverage on their trust, on their trusted channels, but then to then transfer that trust to you takes a bit of time. Then for the implementing organization, most of them usually want to profit from day zero. So getting them to understand that
They
the
can even
gestation
get profit
period
from the minus,
minus one.
like from even just talking to you.
So getting them to see that there's a gestation period. So things along that line, balancing providing service to the women and also retaining the commercial aspects for the organization is usually very, very tricky.
Okay.
So I think that's one of the most difficult. So like I said, talking is part of my job. So this is it, we talk, talk, talk. And at the end of the day, we always have to prove the business case to say, okay, this is going to be a worthy investment. So I think that's is one of the most important parts of my job.
That sounds like a lot, to be honest. So you are literally always building trust, always showing data, always saying, "Oh, this will work," in calculating one thing, predicting one thing, creating
Yes,
one model or something. That sounds like a lot of work.
yes, and if I might also add is operating environment, policy changes. There are certain things that no matter how you plan for, there are certain things that you cannot prevent. Like we've had a government change, and the past 1 year there are different changes in policies. So all those things also sometimes throw your solution out of whack, and you're like, okay. So those things, even though they are not within your control, they are things that actually do affect, or they'll give you sleepless nights and say, oh, okay, where do I start from? Where do I go about this? But because I've been faithful, we've been surviving and thriving.
Yeah. So just like you said, the regulatory environment probably plays a significant role.
Mm.
So how do you navigate that? I mean, you say God has been great, and I know that's the thing that Nigerians we do a lot. But like, how do you typically navigate that kind of scenario? What do you have to do so a policy is enacted that says maybe an approach you've been taking, you just can't continue taking that approach, or you have to make changes? Like, where do you start from?
Okay, so that is where being flexible comes to play. You can't be fixated on one approach. Okay, the policy change has happened. So, okay, where do you, like, what would you do? What's the next thing? So, and this goes to do not be stuck on, oh, it has to be this way because this because of this policy change, my life has ended. Da, 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 da. No, there is never one way to the market. There will be alternative routes. So, okay, this is not working. If it's something you need to take out, if it's an aspect of the solution you need to change, these things might be costs. They might have cost implications, but it's either the cost implications or you don't go. And because you're not in charge of the policies, there is really nothing you can do. It's beyond you. It's beyond me. So they need to be flexible. We should, I think this goes to almost all product managers and people that develop products. You need to have alternative. If this does not work, okay, what if I take out the entire thing? Or what if I do it another way? This is where flexibility comes to play. And being open-minded. You should not be stuck. So if you are being open-minded, you can then look for alternative ways to get to the finish line. It shouldn't be just one way.
That's so
And I
true,
think,
actually.
yeah, I also think even when building your solution, always have like a backup. It might not be inked, but just have it. What if? What if? You should not be tired to asking yourself, what if?
Build for every edge case. What if this
Yes,
happens?
yes.
What
But
if we
there's
try
some
this?
things that you might not have even thought of, like no,
Mm,
you like it's not like during the Naira redesign. I'm not sure that some things are not let's say they are unheard of, but it happens.
yeah.
It happens.
So you just have to be you have to be thinking on your feet. You have to be ready to pivot. You have to be ready to try new
That's
things.
the word. Ready to pivot. Like don't be stuck. Like I was reading one of I can't remember the name of the book I was reading one time, and they were talking about how businesses pivot, how Amazon started from a different what it started with is not what it's doing now. What several companies being able to pivot is essential, and that comes from being flexible.
So there's no way around it to last you have to try something new.
Yes, 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 because you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
There was one time I was designing a solution, and during that, it was on remittances, and during that period, there were three different policies within the span of 1 year.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It was, and I'm like, God, are these people after me?
Honestly, it's like a village people. That's their headquarters.
But at the end of the day, it's for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the greater good. You understand? Everything is for the greater good. Like I tell people that you might not understand where the policy is coming from, but there's usually a backstory. You understand? There's usually a backstory that they're trying to work on, and it might not make sense now. You understand? It might, but at the end of the day, there's something that is usually that they're usually trying to fight, they're usually trying to prevent things along that line. So the best thing is have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever it is, till you get to the finish line.
Oh my days! It sounds like we are just at the mercy of regulation. But like you said, it's for the greater good. I mean, it's not. No one's trying to kill your business or nobody's after you. It's for the greater.
Yeah,
They're trying to solve a problem, right? And that's why a lot of these policies exist.
yeah.
It's been an interesting time speaking with you. I feel like this conversation could go on and on, but I think we'll just wrap up very shortly. I would love if you could give some advice to, African women who maybe they have businesses and, they have a lot of these challenges that we've talked about today. What advice would you give to them?
Um, don't be afraid to start small. But while starting small, there should be checks and balances in place because it's what you grow with that would help your business scale. So even though the business is small, there should be structures in place. This is proper bookkeeping, proper recording. If you don't have proper records of your sales, of your revenue, of your expenses, the bank cannot come in and give you a loan. The only way you can continue to keep records is if you learn with it. Is what you start your business with that you'll be able to grow with. It's not when you grow big that you now start to try to put structures or checks and balances in place. Let it be like that from the beginning. Differentiate yourself from your business. An individual, your business is another entity. They are two different people. I know that when you're starting small, you're the CEO, you are the accountant, you are the content manager, you are the this. Even though you're wearing all those separate hats, have JD for those things. Have the structures in place. So when it's not you anymore, the other person can pick up smoothly. then don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to, don't stop learning the words, and the words is your oyster, so to say. You need to go out there, and like I said, the internet has made the world a smaller place. That idea you're thinking, someone has thought about it before. Do you understand? And there's this book in product management, it says 0 to 100. It's not compulsory your idea must be the first. You can pick up from where someone left, but you cannot know these things unless you put yourself out there. Ask questions. Whose business do you like? Whose business would you like your own business to model? Look at what they're doing and learn and apply to your own business. I say sometimes business owners, it's good for them to even go to other businesses and see how the business is being run. That way, you see the lapses in your own judgment, things that you can learn, and that is where all these self-help groups come in, associations that you can speak openly, discuss, and say, okay, these are challenges I'm facing, and somebody was probably going through it before. So, and they can put you through. So don't be an island. Don't be scared to start small. Always ask for help, and always put structures in place for your business. Thank you. I think that's.
I feel like you're speaking to me directly. when I'm listening to this, I'm going to take notes. I feel like you're speaking to me directly, to be honest. And one thing that I think resounds with me is that a lot of people have the same ideas, and it's about taking it. So maybe someone has taken it from 0 to 5. You can go from 5 to wherever you end. The next person to maybe you collaborate with them, and they take it from wherever you end, maybe 20 to 100. Yeah. So that's very great advice. Thank you so much. I'm sure our listeners have found this conversation very enlightening. Where can they learn more about you and Women's World Banking?
Oh, okay. For me, you can see more about what I do on LinkedIn. Olajumoke Daramola. Then for Women's World Banking, please do visit our website. We have a retinue of resources that would be that businesses will find very helpful, and you'll be able to see stories from people that have also benefited from different solutions that we've put out there, not only in Africa, in India, Southeast Asia, Bangladesh, Cambodia, everywhere that we've been to. There's always something to learn, and we have a retinue of resources that you can have access to. And you can also follow our LinkedIn pages on with Women's World Banking, where you also see what we are doing real time as to the solutions that we've offered. Thank you.
Amazing stuff. So is there any specific thing that you're working on, or Women's World Banking is working on, that you want to maybe mention at this point?
At this point, most of my projects are winding down, but as soon as we start on new projects, we'll be happy to share.
Awesome. Yeah. So I already follow you on LinkedIn. I already follow Women's World Banking on LinkedIn. So I guess I'm already in the know. Right. Thank you so much for your time today, Olajumoke. It's been really, really enlightening. I've left this conversation richer, like in terms of the way my mind is thinking. So it's just for me to go and apply all these things I've learned now.
Please do. I also say thank you very much again, like I said in the beginning, for your tenacity.
And that brings us to the end of another insightful episode of the Spotlight Podcast. Thank you so much, Olajumoke, for coming on the show. It's been an enlightening episode, and I hope that for our listeners as well, you found today's discussion as interesting as I have. We've also been cooking up something really exciting. The big move is a content series where we anonymously spotlight the brave amongst us, those strong-hearted folks who have packed up their inverters, and they've packed up their lives in Nigeria, sold off their generators and inverters, and carried their green passports to destinations both unknown and well-known. You can catch up with that series on our Substack newsletter at iwalola.substack.com. If you're interested in receiving those stories in your inbox every 2 weeks, be sure to subscribe there. Also, feel free to send in your questions or to tell us who you'd like us to bring on the podcast. It is a specific topic you'd like us to cover. We are all ears. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to like and share as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's conversation. Join the discussion on our social media. We'll be posting all about it. Until next time, thank you so much. This is Iwalola Shoboale again, signing off.